Do you know the parable of the Good Samaritan? So I'm going to read part of this and then we'll talk about it. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this and you will live." But being, an expert in law, he wanted to justify himself. And so he says to Jesus, "Well, who is my neighbor?" So Jesus goes on to tell him this story about a man that was beaten by robbers and left on the side of the road for dead, and how several different people passed him, saw him laying there on the side of the road, struggling and fighting for his life, and they actually crossed the street to avoid him and just kept going. And then there was a Samaritan who was traveling along, and he came to him and he helped him. He bandaged up his wounds, he took him to an inn, he took care of him. And Jesus says to, the man of law, he says, "Which of these do you think was a neighbor to the man?" And of course the expert in law replies, "Well, the one who had mercy on him." And so Jesus says, "Go and do likewise." But it makes me think, so often in our culture now, we just see people who are struggling and, even the panhandlers and things like that. And we're like, "Oh, that's not my problem. That's not my problem." Well, Jesus says it is our problem. It is something, we need to be good Samaritans. We need to live like Christ lived his life.